Today on PlayStation News, Guerrilla's next game is not Horizon 3, Astro director on the lack of Square Enix cameos, a recap of the Death Stranding TGS stage presentation, Ubisoft troubles continues, and more. Let's get to it. Hello friends, welcome back to PlayStation News, hoping you are doing great. And we have a new round of PlayStation and gaming stories to talk about. So let's start with some quick fire stories, specifically with the PS5 Pro, as the list of games continues to grow after the technical presentation and the state of play. So on those events, Sony announced about 20 games, and after that they added a tag on the PlayStation Store, and now the PS5 Reddit community has compiled the full list, and you can see it here. It includes over 50 games, including some unannounced ones like the Callisto Protocol. There's also Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, EA Sports FC 25, Fortnite, The Last of Us Part 1, we only knew about The Last of Us Part 2. There's also Lies of P, the newly announced Yakuza Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. There's also Mortal Kombat 1, No Man's Sky, Star Wars Outlaws, we only knew about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order from EA, so now the Ubisoft game as well. There's also the upcoming Until Dawn and many more. You can find the full list at the Reddit thread, and I'll also post it on my threads page, both links in the description. Next, it appears that Sony could be preparing some new remaster or remake for Siren, the classic PS2 horror game. And this is from people on Reddit and Resetera who found a new listing for the game in the Korean ratings board, registered early in September, and you can see the translation here. So last year, PlayStation Japan held a 20th anniversary event for the game, but it was only that. It didn't end up in any new game announcement or anything regarding the franchise. There's some speculation with Firesprite working on a horror game that it could be a new Siren, but other people believe that it could be a new Until Dawn with the remake coming up and all of that, or it could be something else as well. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, last week there was the Tokyo Game Show, and father of PlayStation Ken Kutaragi spoke about the industry and his ambitions on creating a new console back in the 90s. He explained how Sony and other companies that they went for feedback thought that they would end up failing, and he said, and I quote, "So we visited dozens of companies, if not hundreds. We visited a lot of game makers. It was a great memory. They were not interested. They just said, don't do it. There were multiple companies and none of them were successful. You are going to fail, and that's what they told us." The rest is history. PlayStation has been around for 30 years, so the lesson of the story, don't let anyone tell you that you can do anything. In that same event, Ken Kutaragi revealed an interesting milestone for Black Myth Wukong. So the title from Game Science has now reached 20 million copies sold in a month, which is crazy for a new IP. It was also expected, given that the title broke like 10 million in the first week and about 3 million concurrent players in the first week as well, and it's only out on PS5 and PC. So yeah, it's doing pretty good, so congratulations to Game Science and all of the Black Myth Wukong fans. Next, Vampire Survivors developer Punkel has announced they have opened a new publishing division. They spoke on a Game Republic event on Liverpool last week, talking to investors and other publishers. There they explained that they won't be a traditional publisher and they are not going after IPs, but they are trying to offer people resources for anyone to be able to make their game. And that includes funding, platform support, localization, Q&A, and other stuff. So Punkel will look to sign any project, but there are a few exceptions, and that includes any survival game that is similar to Vampire Survivors, which is weird because their game is also kind of copying some stuff from Castlevania. They also won't accept anything from AI or Web3 related projects, or even free-to-play, so yeah. Moving on, there are new rumors on what will be Guerrilla's next game, and possibly bad news if you, like me, are looking for the sequel to Horizon Forbidden West. Now, this story comes from journalist Jason Schreier, who was on the Spawncast over the weekend, and he shared what he knows about Guerrilla's plans. Now, we know that Sony is pushing Horizon really hard. They have the new Lego Horizon Adventure game, they also have the new remaster coming up, and there's even like a Netflix TV series that it's kind of on hold right now. So Schreier said on the podcast, and I quote, "Horizon Online is their next product, not the third single player game looks like, so that one may be ways off." Schreier continued saying that PlayStation's live service initiative was no joke. Everybody was like, it's live service games all around. Horizon is one of the few ones that hasn't been cancelled or hasn't come out and flopped the way Concord did. And so yeah, a lot of questions. A lot of people are working on that. It appears that this online game has been around since 2018. And yeah, it's one of the few ones that has not been cancelled last year. And could be successful given it's a known IP and they are expanding it. So the question is, if and when it comes out, if Guerrilla will have enough bandwidth to continue supporting the online game and besides that work on the third game. If we remember, it was one of the things that Naughty Dog said or cited as the cancellation for The Last of Us Online. It's a bit scary as well, as we have seen the story of the single player studio that works on a multiplayer game fails, and if they are lucky they can go back like BioWare with Dragon Age, but most of them are not that lucky and end up being either shuttered and a lot of people laid off. So hopefully it doesn't end up like that. But what do you think? Are you looking forward to this Horizon Online game, or do you prefer Horizon 3? Do you think they can launch a successful live service? Let me know about that in the comments below. Now let's talk about Astrobot. Steam Asobi director Nicolas Doucet had an interview with the journalists Stephen Totilo and GameFile, and there he explained a little bit more on how the 300 cameos for the game were picked, how much they take making each of the cameos, and how they thought that they would only be getting like half of the characters, and all of the studios were 100 in support, which is something that we talked about in a previous episode as well. But there was one partner that didn't appear in the game, and that's of course Square Enix. So Doucet confirmed there that they work on a cloud design that never got approval from Square Enix. He also said, and I quote, "It's difficult to comment on that. We really respect the choice of each publisher. For some reason they couldn't reach a deal for Final Fantasy VII, even though like there's a reference in Astro's Playroom. And we have seen Square Enix share like their franchises and characters. They had characters on Smash, and there's also like the Stellar Blade DLC with Nier Automata. But yeah, who knows what happened here. Now what I think is that they are not cool with the bots being dressed as the characters and not being the characters themselves. But they could have also added a reference in one of the stages like they did in Astro's Playroom, so yeah, who knows. So what do you think happened here? Share your thoughts in the comments. Next we have a recap on everything that was shown at the Death Stranding Tokyo Game Show panel with new details on the game. So the panel was led by Hideo Kojima and had some of the Japanese voices for the game. First they showed this new photo mode shoot event that looks insane. So it seems like you will have a Polaroid item and that will trigger this event, and whoever is in front of you will start doing poses and dances so that you can take the picture. In this example we had like Fragile and the other two new characters that we are gonna be talking about in a bit. It looks very different from what we are used to in like these photo modes, and it also will work very different, as Kojima said in the panel. He said that the photo mode will influence the game's story and that it would be better to take good pictures. Anyone who also wants like the regular photo mode that you get in all of the other games, you will also be getting that here, as they confirmed they will add the regular photo mode. So there were a total of 5 gameplay videos, including the one about the photo mode, and the other 4 work as sort of an introduction for new and returning characters. So this one had Sam and Fragile on the main cabin of the DHB Magellan ship, and they look black and white, I guess because of the effect of being around the captain of the drawbridge and his cat, and all the tar that is around the area. So his name was also revealed. His name is Starman, and he's played by Marty Roan for the English version of the game. And of course his likeness is modeled after George Miller, making an special appearance. Now this character also suffers from dooms, which is the same condition that Sam has, that has this some sort of connection to the other side. And it seems that they have been, or they now required to be bathing in Keralium to combat the disease. So Fragile also mentions there that she's the commander, and you can see that her hands are not old anymore after the events of the original Death Stranding. So maybe it has to do with these chiral baits, or maybe whatever she's smoking. I don't know. Death Stranding is very confusing, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't remember. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Fragile in this game, and also with Tarman. So this scene also worked as an introduction for Dolman, the puppet character that we saw in the first trailer, and is modeled after director Fatty Akin. So it's also revealed that his soul got stuck into the puppet somehow. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we have to uncover whenever this game comes out regarding some of the characters. Regarding Dolman, they also showed a special video, and it seems that there will be this special in-game event where you can see musical videos, and there's this choreograph with several Dolman characters. And it also features performer Daichi Miura, who previously gave the likeness for the musician in the original Death Stranding. So you can see this video music event on your new private room in the ship, and the song which I'm not playing here is called Horizon Dreamer, and is out today on all music streaming services. So moving into the next gameplay clip, it showed the two new crew members in Rainy and Tomorrow, performed by Shioli Kotsuna and Elle Fanning. Those were the two first actresses that Kojima teased for Death Stranding 2. They are working on organizing stuff on the ship, and maybe they will be the ones to talk about like different items or new stuff that you can craft. I don't know. So Rainy is also expecting a baby, and they talk about how babies are different in each of their worlds. So Tomorrow is the girl that they rescue in the first trailer, that they have this sort of BT cocoon and they are opening it, and she comes out of that. She joins their crew, and we'll see what happens with these two characters. The last cutscene worked as a reintroduction for Hartman, modeled of course after director Nicholas Winding Refn. And so he's in his shelter that is in front of the heart-shaped lake, and he shows you again the condition that his heart is reset every 3 minutes and he has a heart attack, and that was based on like investigations that he's doing in the other side, or the beach, or whatever it's called. So he presents you with this new support exosuit that maybe we'll get, maybe not, and what it allows is for him to flatline without any worries of like falling off and getting hurt. And he also said that he could sleep while being standing, so it seems like it's very useful, this exosuit. So the conversation between Hartman and Sam ends with the usual like gesture that he did in the original game. And yeah, that was all of the cutscenes that they showed. Now, besides that, there were 3 posters for Hartman, Rainy, and Daichi Miura. But there was no new trailer or anything. It seems like we're only gonna stick to the trailer that they released at the State of Play back in January. Or maybe we'll get one at the Game Awards, who knows. And there was no release date either, and that was kind of expected. We don't know when in 2025 it's gonna release. Maybe it's a second half game. I've been always saying that it's probably a second half 2025 game. And Kojima also talked about this on his presentation. He said, and I quote, "I haven't set the release date today, but the release date has already been decided, and I'm currently working on it in preparation for that. Since we're talking about 2025, it will be released next year, so we will announce it at some point next year. But due to some unforeseen circumstances, we cannot announce it today." So yeah, who knows if we'll get a new trailer at the Game Awards, or if this theory that we get a 30th anniversary State of Play is true, maybe we could get it there. They could do a release window trailer and say in which season we can expect the game, and they could do a release date trailer in the first half of 2025 in one of the State of Plays, or like around January, or the one around May. Likely it's gonna be the one that they have around summer, if the game is gonna launch at the end of the year, which I think it's gonna be the case. So yeah, what do you think about all these new details for Death Stranding 2 on the beach? And when do you think it's gonna be launching in 2025? Place your bets in the comments. Now we have a trio of Ubisoft stories as the crash for the French publisher continues, and they could face another issue on top of the other ones that they are facing, and that's an employee strike. So last week the video game workers French union made a statement pushing for employees to go on strike, since the company wants them to go back to work 3 days a week on the office after 5 years of remote work. And the union says that in 5 years this has resulted in lifestyle changes, and employees can simply go back to the previous working conditions that they had in Ubisoft. Now they predict that the consequence of this decision is going to be, of course, job losses, the disorganization of game projects, and a drastic increase of psychosocial risk for anyone who remains at the company. So we'll see what happens in regard to employees at Ubisoft, if they go on a strike or not. Besides that, it's now been confirmed that the free-to-play FPS XDefiant is underperforming, and that was part of an investors meeting where Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was asked about the FPS. There he said, and I quote, "We had behind expectations for XDefiant, which we will give you a bit more detail at the end of October." He was comparing it to the expectations for Star Wars Outlaws, so he said that these are to a much lesser extent, with the limited impact that they had a lower expectation for XDefiant. So the game came out back in March, and there was a report from Insider Gaming that it was doing very well in player count, but after that it started like struggling to get players into the game, and there were some worries from Ubisoft San Francisco that if they couldn't get more players by Season 3, they could be losing some of the financial support for additional content on the game. Now those worries were put to rest after director Mark Robin shared a roadmap, a 1-year roadmap for the game that included seasons 2, 3, and 4. And he also said specifically in one of the FAQs on that blog post that the game is not dying. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It seems that it's behind expectations for Ubisoft, but it's not doing that bad in comparison to Star Wars Outlaws. And speaking of Star Wars Outlaws, this was kind of the beginning of issues for Ubisoft after the game underperformed at launch, and the stock price came like crashing in like the lowest they have had in the past 10 years. After that, they pulled back from the Tokyo Game Show just a couple of days before the event. They even cancelled a media event for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that resulted in a delay for Assassin's Creed Shadows for February 14. They also announced that they will be getting rid of the Season Pass model, giving like the first expansion of the game for free to anyone who pre-orders the game. And they are also crawling back to Steam, and they will be releasing all of their new games there as well, starting with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now the company also acknowledged that Star Wars Outlaws had underperformed, giving birth to all of these issues. Now, developer Ubisoft Massive shared a roadmap of all the fixes that they are working on for the game, and there will be 2 fixes, one on October 3rd and the other on October 24th, and there will be another one on November 21st that it's gonna come out alongside the first story DLC and the release for the game on Steam as well. Now, after all of these issues and announcements they had last week, their stock prices went down again 20%. To a new low, even lower than what they were on at the beginning of September. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Ubisoft and if they can turn things around. Love or hate their games, they have lots of talented people, and we don't want anyone losing their jobs. Also, management has a huge lesson to learn here, as their games have not been hitting for the past few years. And they have also been chasing this free-to-play goose or live service goose that everyone's chasing in the gaming industry. So what do you think about all of these issues for Ubisoft? Do you think they can turn things around? Let me know in the comments. And there you go, that's all the news that I have for you today. Let me know what you guys think about all of the stories that we talk about, including Guerrilla working on the online game as their next project and not Horizon 3. What do you think about the lack of a Square Enix bots in Astro? All of the details for Death Stranding, what was your favorite new character and what was your favorite new detail of the game, when do you think it's gonna come out, and what do you think about all of these issues with Ubisoft, and do you think they can turn around it or not. Remember that you can find all of the sources for these stories in the description below. And also sorry because there was no episode for the past 2 weeks as I had issues with my PC. And after that I lost some content that I used for these videos, so I had to work on that, and there was also like news everywhere with TGS and all of that, so I got overwhelmed with everything. But yeah, we are back starting this week, and hopefully there will be no more issues. So if you enjoyed this video, consider giving it a thumbs up as it helps the channel a ton, and subscribe for more PlayStation videos like this. And you can also find this as a podcast on Spotify. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.